Aloha and welcome. Today I'm going to be covering, or overviewing, I should say, the Mighty Marvel Masterworks format. It's a pretty new format. It started in, I believe it was June of this year. And we've been getting new volumes every month since then. And there's another one coming out in October. I believe it's Thor, the Mighty Thor, Volume 1. And each of these contain 10 issues of Marvel's biggest series. We have the Amazing Spider-Man, which has Amazing Fantasy 15, and the first 10 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. So some of them have 11 issues then, but for the most part, they're roughly 10 issues long. This is Volume 1 here, and I'm only missing a few releases here. I'm missing the X-Men one, which I wasn't so interested in, but I'll probably pick up at one point. That's X-Men Volume 1. I believe that's, issues 1 through 10. And then there's also one coming out in October. I don't know if it's out yet. Will be out after this video. I don't know. Whatever. And that's Thor again. So, but I have Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the Amazing Spider-Man, and I'll do a video on each. So watch out for those. But this is just going to be an overview. So if you're looking to read if you're looking to read The Amazing Spider-Man, for example, you have a lot of different formats. There's a giant omnibi that you can get, but a lot of times those go out of stock. You have Epic Collection, those, what is it? Yeah. So you have those giant omnibuses that are specific to the series. You have simple, normal Masterworks. These are Mighty Marvel Masterworks, so they have less content. They're softback and smaller, but you also can buy them just Masterworks. But those normally also are quite collectible. They're bigger. These are quite small. We have a normal issue here. We have Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries, issue 3. So in comparison here, you can kind of look and see how wide it is and so on, see how thick it is. Obviously, it's going to be quite thick because of how much content it has, but when comparing them in terms of length, it's roughly a normal digest size, and that seems like that's what these are meant for. They're digest. What would you say? Volumes that are kind of competing relatively within the price range of manga, and are kind of seem like they may be Marvel's way to put their classic series on the shelves of your Barnes and Nobles and use their new Penguin Publishing license or deal, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it's classified as, to kind of have their classic series be put on the shelf in an easy, cheap, and digestible fashion. They're still not cheap enough, I'd say. They're $15.99, but most of these that are a few months old have gone down to about 12, and 12 is pretty fair. I think even 16 is fair. You're getting, again, Amazing Fantasy. Have I said this in this recording? I've had to restart this recording. Anyways, you're getting Amazing Fantasy 15 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 10. So for 11 issues, I think $16 is even worth it, especially because of the quality, is so high, much better than the Essentials line. But still, if you want to compete with manga, although it's just full color, you gotta get that price range probably still a bit lower, especially for impulse purchases. But it's still very fairly priced, and the content of these classic series is, of course, great. They help Marvel get to where they are today, and it's hard to not enjoy them, I'd say. Obviously, it's personal preference, but if you're interested in any of these series, or X-Men, or the Mighty Thor, this might be the way to go. It really depends. The Mighty Marvel Masterworks are full color, unlike the Essentials line. The Essentials line is just as cheap, if not cheaper, but the main problem you'll run into, besides them not being made anymore, I don't think, is that, they're not full color. The page quality is very limited. The page quality is very cheap, I should say. And here we're going to do a little comparison here in a second. So in comparison, the Essentials line, is very cheaply made. I got this around the time, what's interesting is that this was $15. So for only $1 more, and with, what would you say, the economy, the price of the dollar going down, if anything, they're offering better deals than they did, 10 years ago. But 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was. Anyways, but the Essentials line is great to get into. There's far more of these out than there are Mighty Marvel Masterworks. They're extremely easy to pick up. They're just as cheap, if not cheaper, and so on. But you're going to be getting black and white content, which, for some is okay. definitely. But I'd recommend this more for people that are on an extremely tight budget or are children, I would say. It's a very easy way to get into Marvel's content. If you want it physically, of course, the best way, if you're okay with digital, would be Marvel Unlimited. But yeah, that is what it is. I covered this in its own video, so if you want to see that, click the card in the top right. But so the other kind of classification you have, this isn't technically a Marvel's Epic Collection, but it's in basically the same style as an Epic Collection. Before they classified them as Epic Collections, they just called it whatever it was, Captain America the Captain, and didn't have a special line name as far as I know. It was just a trade without any kind of branding or anything saying that it's an Epic Collection. But as far as I know, Epic Collections are very similar in this sense. They have glossy paper, but still it's thin, so it's not going to be necessarily as high of quality as some of the omnibuses you'd get. The content contains more than, about a Essentials Volume 1 worth of issues, 20 issues, something like that, but it's not going to contain the whole 30, 35 or so that an omnibus would. But their price tag, you can get those for roughly about $40. Again, this is just my example. I don't have a Epic Collection, more modern Epic Collection that has the branding on it and everything else, but that's roughly what you'd get. And you can get Spider-Man, for example, in that format. You can get it in the Essentials line for $10 or less or whatever, but again, you're going to be having those issues. You can get in the Epic Collection, and it would be likely even better than the Masterworks, Mighty Marvel Masterworks. That's the key difference there, because there's also just Masterworks. And in an Epic Collection form like this, you're going to be getting a bigger image, which is nice. So you're going to be, the panels are going to be larger and so on. But all the Epic Collections that I know of so far are soft covers. So you're still going to be getting soft cover. You're going to be paying more, but you're going to be getting twice the number of issues. So it all just kind of depends on you and what you're looking for. There's definitely more Epic Collections available in terms of content. So if you're looking for something that's not on a Mighty Marvel Masterworks, you may have to go in terms of Epic Collection. In terms of an Epic Collection, you may have to snag it there. But we also don't know how far this Mighty Marvel Masterworks line is going to last, because it's only 4 or 5 volumes in across different series. So maybe in a few years we'll be getting Mighty Marvel Masterworks of the Punisher or something like that. As far as I know, we don't know yet. If you look in solicitations, which I did, there's quite a few volumes announced all the way into spring of 2022. So it seems as if they're not just if this isn't just going to be a few series, it's quite a few. They're going into Doctor Strange and the Incredible Hulk and everything else. But again, I don't know how long it will go, how deep the line will go, and if we'll eventually get to, if we'll eventually get to the Captain America 300s or something, or if all of these series in the Mighty Marvel Masterworks line will end shortly. So that's something to watch out for. And next up, we also have a Marvel Omnibus that's hardcover, massive omnibus. And again, price tag wise, let's compare that as well. Again, you're getting about 10 issues for $16 at first, about $12 a few months later for these Mighty Marvel Masterworks. If you can find the content in an Epic Collection, because the Epic Collections seem to be snagged up much quicker than the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, a lot of these go out of print commonly and so on. But again, you're getting the bigger image. You're still going to be paying, however, about $40, and the amount of issues you get is double. But double the price of this would only be, 2 volumes of this would be still half of the price of this. So you're paying you're paying 4 times as much, You're paying 4 times as much with this for twice as much content. So if you're on a budget, again, buying 2 of these would roughly be equivalent to 1 of these in terms of if these were in the same series again. And if this had the Epic branding. I'm just trying to give you an idea here. And then you're going to be paying about $80. You're going to be paying twice the price of an Epic Collection for roughly the same amount of content, or only a bit more in an omnibus form. There, however, you're likely going to be getting hardcover. This is in the Max line, but again, it's an example, right? You're going to be getting a much bigger look in the, it's fun to compare these. Look at that. So you're getting quite a bit more, image. Everything's blown up much more. You're going to be getting hardcover. Likely these are going to be sewn bound. A little gore warning here. But again, you're going to, have to pay so much more. And these especially, go for quite a bit when they become out of print, depending on what the content is, of course. So, you got to keep all that in mind. And for me personally, originally I thought I was going to go with omnibuses. I thought I was going to pick up everything in the best format because it's all subjective, but I saw it as the best format because I was like, oh, hardcover, it's going to last a long time. They're going to be huge. These things are massive. After picking this up, I somewhat regret it. I enjoy the content, but in terms of the format itself, I actually personally, and again, this is personal, why I chose, I went into what you should do, kind of why you would choose which format. Now I'm kind of getting into why I chose what I chose. So these omnibi are just so massive and heavy. I'm serious. This is like 10 pounds here, and holding this in your hand and in your lap and everything, it's just too cumbersome in my mind. And along with that, the portability and easeability of reading it just isn't good. It's just not easy to read because of its weight and how massive it is, how big it is and everything else. And I like the blown up art for sure, and oftentimes there's bonuses and such in the back, which are great, but oftentimes Epic collections also have bonuses in the back, and the blown up art I just don't think is worth it for me personally to pay, again, twice as much for for not much more content. You're paying twice as much between an Epic collection and one of these omnibuses, and you're getting blown up art, sure, but again, the easeability of reading is just not there for me. And again, a lot of Epic collections have bonuses in them as well. So then I was thinking I'd go with Epic collections, and I definitely think I will for a lot of the content that's not in the Mighty Marvel Masterworks line, and doesn't seem like it will be for quite a long time, Punisher content and so on, because, they're going through the 60s stuff right now. So if, still in 2022, from what we see of releases, they're still going through 60s content, then I'm a little worried as how long it'll take to get to 80s and even 90s stuff. So that stuff I think is a surefire bet to pick up in the Epic collection format for me. But it just depends on you, depends on if you think that the price of these, outweighs, the cheap price of these and limited content and so on is worth, not having an Epic collection, for example. And sorry about the noise, man. There's a storm outside where I am. But I told you the pros and cons and my first impressions on the latest collected editions releasing. This has been Jake Baldino, and I'll... No, bad reference. If you know that reference, comment below. But yeah, that's the way it is. There's pros and cons for all of these. The Mighty Marvel Masterworks, may not go too far past these. If you're okay with taking the risk of having the line not go past the 60s possibly, which is certainly a possibility, then, you're in good shape. That's definitely something to consider, though. They've dropped other lines in the past, and, with how the comic industry is, unless these are super successful, I could totally see these being dropped in, a year. So, that wouldn't look too good on a shelf, instead of having all these in an Epic collection where it's all uniform. Maybe that doesn't matter to you, but for me, it kind of does. But the fact that we have so many announced already, and that this is kind of their gateway into appealing to a wider market with Penguin, makes me think that it's not going to just fall off in a year. But, again, that's the risk I have to take, But also the other big thing that I enjoy, because I'm a YouTuber, is that the cheap prices allow me to be able to, and the quick release schedule of every single month allows me to pick up these and cover them for you guys. So speaking of, this video is wrapping up. If you enjoyed this, Baron Zemo looks awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Anyways, I love this art here, and the kind of just the style of the different kind of whatever visual techniques they use for the time. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure and tell me. If you didn't enjoy this video, also be sure and tell me. I want to know how to do better. I want to know how to improve. Do you want to see reviews of these? I think I will cover them. It's going to take a while. I got, 30 something issues to read, and, I've read most of this before getting it through Marvel Unlimited, and I've read a good chunk of this, so it's coming along. But don't expect them, in a few days. Expect a few weeks, maybe even longer. I don't know. I don't like to make promises as to when content's going to come out, because I still have some series and things I need to wrap up, which is a thorn in my side. But there you go. That's that. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, thank you. If you didn't enjoy this, well, thank you as well for watching it and giving me a shot. Tell me how I can do better next time, and see you next time. Aloha.